December 1st, and that means it's time for the book club. This month, our book is called Harbor Me.
又到了我们好书俱乐部的单元哦。其实我非常非常期待每个月的时候都有机会讲到好书俱乐部。那我们这个月要介绍的好书呢，叫做星期五的没事教室，然后英文的名字叫做 Harbor Me。Harbor 的话，其实本来就是那种，你有听过那个 Pearl Harbor， 就是珍珠港。Harbor 的话，其实有很多意思，有时提供港湾，或者是窝藏嫌犯，也可以用 harbor 这个动词。所以在这个地方 harbor me 有点像是保护我的那种感觉。
That's exactly right. That's exactly how I would translate it. We have boat harbors. That's a place a boat can park overnight and stay safe from the big ocean waves. You can also harbor people, and this is usually a much trickier idea. You're protecting this person from something bad outside. In English, you'll hear this especially like with police. You harbor criminals, and that means you are protecting a bad person in your house, and the police want them, but they can't go into your house because of because lots of reasons, right? So harbor me, to me, when I read this, like in English, it says like we're protecting a person. But of course, the Chinese is a very different meaning. It's like the Friday nothing to do classroom. It's like, very different, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's read our subtitle, Growing Up in a Complicated World.
没错，我们的副标题叫做 Growing Up in a Complicated World。这个 complicated 就是很复杂的，在一个很复杂的世界中长大。照理来讲，小朋友们在成长过程中应该是充满了纯真，然后很多地方都被保护。可是这个世界很多时候，如果大人有一些状况，小朋友就必须要提早面对这些个复杂的世界。那我们今天看到的主题就是这样子的一个故事内容。
The opposite of complicated is simple. S-I-M-P-L-E. That doesn't mean easy. It doesn't mean easy. It means simple. It's not complicated.
就是那种不复杂、简单的 simple 的对应的概念就是 complicated 复杂的。
All right, let's hear our story. And when we come back, we got paragraph 1.
Harbor Me. How do children make sense of racism, poverty, and life in prison? These are subjects that often leave even adults at a loss for words. Harbor Me, a novel by Jacqueline Woodson, presents these topics in a way that young readers can easily understand. By telling the story through the voices of children, Woodson makes the themes easier to connect with. The novel centers on Haley, an 11-year-old girl from New York City. She is trying to process her emotions after her father returns from serving time in prison. She recalls her younger years and some of the friends from different backgrounds she made at school. Through flashbacks, we learn about the difficulties her classmates face. For example, Esteban's father was arrested and is being held in an immigration detention center. Amari is upset about growing up as a Black boy in America. Tiago comes from a Spanish-speaking family and has difficulty switching between English and Spanish. While these topics are all heavy and complex, Woodson does a great job of examining them from a child's point of view. Harbor Me is a powerful and touching novel that invites young readers to see the kindness in others.
Okay, friends, as always, don't forget to have your pencils and blue pen ready. I love writing in my magazines. It helps me study really clearly, and I know it will help you too. Write in your magazines. How do children make sense of racism, poverty, and life in prison? Okay, we got some big, tough words here. Racism means people don't like you because of the color of your skin. This is a big problem in America. Poverty means you don't have money. You're very, very poor. P-O-O-R. And life in prison, these are people that can't leave jail because they were put there, they did something bad, or maybe for whatever reason they are in jail. Jail. It's just 一般的监狱. Prison is much worse. It's jail, but you really don't want to go to prison.
OK， 所以第一句话我们看到几个重要的字汇，其中包括 racism， 好，就是种族歧视。老师提到说 ，because of the color of your skin， 因为你的肤色的关系啊，你可能被不公平的对待。Poverty, you're being poor, P-O-O-R 就是贫穷的意思 ，poverty 就是它的名词，好，贫穷。And life in prison, prison 这个字的话没问题，就是监狱。老师刚刚提供了另外一个字 jail, J-A-I-L, jail。好，所以这里的话说 ，How do children make sense of racism, poverty, and life in prison？ 到底孩子要如何去理解 make sense of something, to try to understand, to wrap their heads around something， 就是试着去慢慢了解一个复杂的概念的时候，我们可以用 make sense of 来表达。
These are subjects that often leave even adults at a loss for words. When someone is at a loss for words, that means they don't know what to say. If a little kid asks you, why are there poor people and rich people? Why are we poor? Why is there racism? These are very hard questions for little kids to understand, and you can't give an easy or simple answer. The answers are often very complicated, so you don't know what to say. You are at a loss for words.
You are at a loss for words 就是指一时之间语塞，不晓得该怎么样去解释这样的事情。所以说 these are subjects 好，这些主题呢 that often leave even adults 都会让这些成年人怎么样 leave somebody， 然后后面接上一个状态，然后也可以接上一个介词片语，在这里的话就是 leave adults at a loss for words， 让这些成年人语塞，不知道该从何解释起，无言以对的感觉。
Harbor Me, a novel by Jacqueline Woodson, presents these topics in a way that young readers can easily understand. So our book, Harbor Me, remember harbor here means like protect. So Jacqueline wrote this book and it helps kids understand racism, poverty, and life in prison in an easier way. And listen, when you're a teacher, teachers can tell you they don't invent everything they teach. They learned how to do this from another person. And we do this with books too. You're going to learn a lot. Maybe you don't know what to say. You're at a loss for words. But here's a book that can help you explain it to kids.
没错。所以如果说今天你被问到这样的问题，然后小朋友不懂的话，或许你看了这本书之后，你就可以知道怎么跟小朋友解释到底是这个世界怎么回事哦。所以这句话说 Harbor Me 星期五的没事教室这本书呢 A novel by Jacqueline Woodson presents these topics in a way that young readers can easily understand， 就可以用一些方式让这种小朋友很轻松的可以知道说什么叫做贫穷，什么叫做监狱里的生活，什么叫做种族歧视。
By telling the story through the voices of children, Woodson makes the themes easier to connect with. When you connect with somebody, that means you have some kind of friendship or relationship. It makes it easier for you to share your feelings. If you don't know a person, but maybe you have to tell them some bad news, it's kind of hard. But if you have a close relationship, we can often say things a little better. You have connections with your family, and you know that you can talk to them easier than just maybe a regular stranger on the street if you see them walking at you.
没错，所以我们来看一下这句话，他说 By telling the story through the voices of children， 透过这个孩子们的声音、孩子们的视角去来说这些故事的话呢 Woodson makes the themes easier to connect with。 在这个地方我们看到 themes 就是这些主题，所以我们有提到什么 topics、subjects、themes， 好，这些字都是在讲这个主题的意思。然后这个地方他说 make the themes easier to connect with。Connect with 就是指老师刚刚我们所提到说去更容易跟这个作者连结，他想讲的故事有所连结。有的时候你还会听到说引起这个读者的共鸣，也可以用这样的方式去表达。
All right, well, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we got paragraph 2. Okay, friends, welcome back to Enjoy English School. We're on pages 8 and 9 in our magazine. It's the book club, and this month we're talking about Harbor Me. This is a book that tries to help people connect with racism, poverty, and life in prison. Let's talk about learning English and words that you say in Chinese. So something I hear a lot of Taiwanese say, especially in summer, is, oh, 他好黑哦, or 你很黑啊. And then in English, they'll want to use English. They'll say, he's so black. And this is a super dangerous sentence to say in English. Because racism is a big problem in America, it's not polite to talk about your skin color, especially 我笑你的皮肤色, like, you're so black. Number one, we would say you're very dark. Number two, you might say he's very tan, even if it's like 白人 or 亚洲人, but 晒黑了. Number two, like you can make someone really angry. So if you go to America or Canada, this is really important. Do not say, you are so black. That is really dangerous.
老师刚刚提到那个 tan 这个字 T-A-N 好，意思就是指晒黑了。你可以用 you're so tanned 好 T-A-N-N-E-D 来表达晒得好黑哦，但是千万不要用 black 这个字来表达说你晒得很黑。
That's right. It's a very dangerous sentence. Paragraph 2. The novel centers on Haley, an 11-year-old girl from New York City. So I'm from New York, but I'm not from New York City. This is a very big city. When you look at New York, it looks like a key. And it's all the way down here at the bottom of your key there. Like when you're turning the door, you hold that piece. New York City's there, and there are many people there from all over the world.
Yeah, 没错，我们来看第二段，他这一段呢就介绍我们的这个内容哦。他提到主角的名字叫做 Haley， 他说 The novel centers on Haley, an 11-year-old girl from New York City. 她是来自于这个纽约市的一个11岁的小女孩，她叫海莉。
Don't say 11 years old. You can write an S and cross it out. She is trying to process her emotions after her father returns from serving time in prison. Now, when you serve time, this means you give your time to something, usually like you become a soldier or you serve time in jail or prison. Remember, jail and prison are not the same in English. Prison is worse. If you go to prison, maybe you killed someone. You didn't maybe do something not as dangerous.
OK， 所以我们来这边话看到一句话叫做 serving time in prison， 好，就是在这个监狱里面服刑。我记得在以前有一个那个课文里面提到这个yellow ribbon on the old oak tree.
Right.
I'm coming home, I've done my time.
That's right.
Yeah.
You do your time.
You do your time.
You do your time. You serve your time. That's exactly right.
没错。所以在服刑的话，你可以 do one's time or serve time in prison， 好，都是指这个服刑的意思。他这边讲到说 she's trying to process her emotions， 指的就是指她开始试着去消化她这个内在的情绪。After her father returns from serving time in prison， 好，等到爸爸服刑回来之后呢，她开始要去消化这个爸爸不在的这段时间的这种情绪。
That's right. And you have to tell a kid why your dad is not there. Oh, he's in prison. And we learn as kids that if you go to prison, you did a bad thing. Now, I'm going to tell you a personal story. The first time I met my uncle is after he got out of jail, after serving time in prison. Oh. I met him after he got out of prison. But I didn't know that until I was much older. Oh. My dad did not tell me my uncle was serving time in prison because, well, only bad people go to prison. But if he's your uncle, why do you want him staying here if he's a bad person? And the answer is the real world is not simple. The real world is complicated. And my uncle did some bad things. But he was a really nice guy. He was a very friendly person that also did dumb things. And he served time in prison. These are really hard things for an 11-year-old to understand.
的确是这样。老师提供了他个人的故事。他在很小的时候，他的那个这个叔叔刚服刑回来，就到家里头来，然后发现那时候他其实根本爸爸都没有告诉他说，其实这个叔叔是从牢里做出来了。可是事实上呢，他叔叔是非常好的人，只是呢，当然有可能会做一些很蠢的事情，然后不小心害自己就进去做监牢了。那在这种情况下，其实一个11岁的孩子很难去了解这么多复杂的事情。
That's right. Like only bad people go to prison. Your uncle's in prison. Is he a bad person? No, he's really nice. I know him. How can he go to prison? Very complicated. She recalls she remembers her younger years and some of the friends from different backgrounds she made at school. Now, underline different backgrounds here. This means different kinds of family, maybe a different color of skin. Maybe some families are rich and some families are in poverty. They are poor.
没错 ，poverty 就是刚刚前面我们学到的贫穷，第一段里面出现的单字哦。他这边这句话讲说 ，she recalls her younger years， 她就回想起然后当初早些时候比较早的时候 ，and some of the friends from different backgrounds she made at school， 她在学校里头所交的一些朋友，他们是来自不同的背景。这个 backgrounds 指的是背景，有的家庭很有钱，有的家庭很穷，然后有的可能来自于不同，可能是讲不同语言的这种家庭等等，都有这种可能的情况。
All right, let's go to our next sentence. Through flashbacks, we learn about the difficulties her classmates face. And so her classmates also have problems.
好，在这个地方呢，他说 through flashbacks， 我们来看一下 flashbacks 这个字哦。其实很多时候我们在提到小说的时候 ，flashbacks 这个字就是倒叙法，也就是它不是顺着这个故事的情节，它是从中间开始讲，之后提到某个情况的时候，他还提到说之前呢怎样怎样，这个叫做 flashbacks。We learn about the difficulties her classmates face。我们就从他的回想的过程当中去慢慢了解到，原来呢，除了他家里头的状况之外，其他同学的家里头也有各自复杂的情况。
For example, Esteban's father was arrested and is being held in an immigration detention center. Okay, this is kind of hard. When you are arrested, the police stop you and they make you take a rest, R-E-S-T. We know rest means 休息一下，这个当然比较不好。But underline R-E-S-T. That will help you remember. Arrested means you go to jail or prison. This is an immigration prison, so this person is probably going to get sent back to their country.
所以我们来看到第一个同学 ，For example, Esteban's father. Esteban 是他的同学嘛，他的爸爸呢 was arrested， 被这个逮捕了。And is being held in an immigration detention center. 这个 immigration detention center 就是我们说的这种移民的收留所。当你发现到说，你有这个偷渡进来，然后我们抓到你了之后，我们要先把你关起来，然后看那个状况之后，再把你遣返到你原本所在这个国家。所以他这个 Esteban， 他的爸爸好像是这样的情况。我们在这句话里面学到 arrest 这个字，老师刚刚提到它的 R-E-S-T， rest 是休息嘛 ，arrested 当然这个字的话就是 being arrested， 被逮捕了。好，在这里的话我们要学会这个词汇。
Amari is upset about growing up as a black boy in America. Now, I told you earlier, don't run around saying you're so black, you're so black. But here, this sentence is okay because 你没有骂一个人你很黑. They're just saying 他是黑人, and that's not a bad thing. But saying you're so black, 这个感觉到 you're making fun of them. That's not polite.
没有错。所以接下来第二句话告诉你说 ，Amari is upset about 他说的是对什么东西感到觉得很烦觉得很讨厌。所以在这里的话 ，being upset about something 就是你对后面这件事情有不开心的那种感受。Growing up as a black boy in America， 身为黑人，美国的黑人这样的一个身份长大，他觉得这件事情他很不开心。
Tiago comes from a Spanish-speaking family and has difficulty switching between English and Spanish. When we use the word between, we have between 之后 you use A and B.
OK， 所以在这边的话 ，Tiago 是他另外一个同学 ，comes from a Spanish-speaking family， 他是来自于这个说西班牙语的家庭。And has difficulty switching between English and Spanish。这个地方帮我画起来 has difficulty 后面再加 V-I-N-G。你可以说 has problems, has difficulty, or has 很多的表达方式，做什么东西有困难，你都可以用这样的方式去表达。用这个 has difficulty 后面加上一个 V-I-N-G。这个地方的问题是 switching between English and Spanish， 在西班牙文跟英文之间切换，它好像很困难。
All right, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Hey friends, welcome back to Enjoy English. We're on pages 8 and 9. While these topics are all heavy and complex, not simple, Woodson does a great job of examining them from a child's point of view, from a kid's place and a kid's understanding.
没错，所以这句话最重要的事情就是 from a child's point of view， 好，是从孩子的视角去看待、去检视这些听起来什么 all heavy 很沉重 and complex 很复杂的这些议题。
All right, Harbor Me is a powerful and touching novel that invites young readers to see the kindness in others.
好，最后他告诉你说 ，Harbor Me 这个作品呢 is a powerful 很有力量 and touching novel， 又是充满关怀的一本小说 that invites young readers to see the kindness in others， 可以让带领这些年轻读者呢去看到来自于其他人的善意。
Okay, so with that, we are done for today, but we'll be back with day 2 with more Enjoy English School. For Enjoy English School, I am Chris Gorski.
I'm Anthony.
And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.